Afternoon, Board. I'm Pat Borelli from Gustine Fire. I guess I should have prepared a speech, but I've been in Gustine Fire for almost 40 years, and we've had these discussions before as far as the volunteer status. And when I started, we used to have an ABC group, and everybody that was in the city of Gustine, we had to have a certain percentage of A's, B's, and C's. And when I became a volunteer, I almost didn't get in because I worked out in the county at the time. And we had some other ones that couldn't get in because they lived out in the county. But eventually we changed all that, and I was able to become a volunteer there where I'm still at. But our volunteer status right now, we have 10. And we are pursuing to get volunteers, but the demographic of the area has changed so much because people work outside the area and don't work inside the area. And so on a typical call in Gustine, if we have a structure fire, we might have 2 to 3 people that are actually in town that can get there. And so it's always been a discussion as far as volunteer. I don't have the answers to everything. I wish I did, but the volunteer status it's a very difficult time that we're working with right now. We just had a career day at the high school where we actually had a car and we demonstrated what we could do. We had some interest, and I think we got a couple of calls on that, but when I became a volunteer, we had a waiting list of over 30. And I think a lot of the departments in the county also had waiting lists. And so that's where we're at today. I know that it all comes down to the dollars and cents, and it's a very struggle. The cost of doing business today is just unreal. And so anyway, that's all I have.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair, Supervisors, Mr. Mendez. My name is Jose Moran, Mayor of the City of Livingston. This morning you have before you an item that will potentially affect and put people's lives in danger. This fire item before you is misleading, incomplete, and missing some steps that I believe could have been done before it came before the board for discussion. There's more that can be done. The last fire agreement signed between Merced County and the City of Livingston dates back to 1988. But it expired in 1995. Since then, the city has been contributing 7.5% of its tax revenue to the county, amounting to between $800,000 and $1 million annually. Of the service calls that Station 96 is receiving for service, about 60% are for service calls within the city and about 40% for service calls in the county area surrounding Livingston. Some time ago, the county withdrew its proposal to split the cost of new staffing, which was 50-50, leaving the city to foot the entire bill of roughly $800,000, basically having the city pay even for service provided out in the county, which would normally be paid out by the county. This proposal before you is asking for you, the board, to consider pulling the CAL FIRE service from Station 96 in Livingston to the station in Cressy. This proposal has resulted in safety concerns for Livingston residents, meaning that anyone calling for service will have to endure longer response times of at least additional 8 to 12 additional minutes in comparison if they were responding from within the city as they're currently doing now. The response time will increase drastically for service calls that originate from the south side of the city, potentially from 15 to 20 additional minutes, making it more dangerous for all of the residents in those areas. Wouldn't it be best to consider Station 96 as the main station for service in that area and the surrounding communities? Additionally, this proposal would not only make it more dangerous for those requesting service, but also for those responding to the service calls by increased travel distances, which pose greater risks for the responding fire personnel. With no consideration for additional road hazards they will encounter in this unnecessary additional travel time and distance. Despite the city's willingness to engage in discussions and conversations, the county has shown little to no interest in coming together to negotiate the MOU and has refused to disclose the itemized cost that is charging the city for. The county is withholding the city's fire tax revenue and making decisions on it without any oversight. The only thing that the city knows is how much we are paying, but we do not know what we are paying for. It feels as if we're taking a truck to the mechanic for repairs and we just see the full amount charge that we have to pay, but not
If you can finish your comments, please.
but not the amount, but don't know what the repairs were done. That does not seem like best practice. Livingston residents are willing to pay for the services they receive. We have always been willing to pay. We just want to pay what is fair and not feel like we're being strong-armed and agree to pay without disclosing what we're paying for. And to conclude, I do believe in offering others the benefit of the doubt, and I want to think that this is a mix-up or misunderstanding and that the county is open to willing to make this right and safe for all involved, to make it safe not only for the residents of the city of Livingston, but for those in the surrounding communities.
Thank you, Mayor.
So just to end real quick, I would like to make reference to the invocation by Father Borges this morning, and I paraphrase. I am to please guide this board to make decisions to sustain and build our community up, not down. Thank you.
Good morning, Board, Mr. Chair, Mr. Menendez. Adding on to what our city manager said and our mayor, I'm Greg Paulson, I'm Mayor Pro Tem City of Livingston. When the subject of 2.0 staffing came on our radar, City of Livingston with council immediately started moving forward on how we're going to fund it. One of the items, as you know, Mr. Chair, you're aware of, city is looking to go to the residents for a sales tax to help fund the fire services. So based on what you're saying now, you want the residents of Livingston, you want the city council to go to the residents and say, help us pay more money so we can provide service to nearby stations, not Livingston, because Livingston will be gone. That's what you're proposing to us. Now, as it was said before, Livingston is the busiest, one of the busiest stations, and we do have two small employers there, Foster Farms and A.V. Thomas. We have two of the largest employers, one of the busiest stations, and the infinite wisdom of how this came out is to close the busiest station and move it out. Now, as it was stated earlier, the response times will be about 12 minutes or so. Somebody calls and say, I have a heart attack. It's no use to call 911. You might as well call the morgue at that point. 12 minutes, somebody's already dead. You know, I know you guys have a very, very difficult decision, and I know that there's nothing personal behind it. But as was stated, additional funding is about $7 million, and you're looking at county's budget of about $1 billion. We know that most of it is not a discretionary fund. A lot of it is non-discretionary. We understand that, but still looking at less than 5 to 6%, not even that, of the entire county budget. Now, Livingston has and said we will step up to pay our fair share, but if you're getting calls, I got people calling me and says, no, don't say this, I'm sorry, but I guess this meeting is being broadcast and they're listening. So, but now I lost my train of thought. Okay, so anyway, please think of it as Livingston City Council is moving forward to go to their residents and saying, help us to pay for public safety. We, as all the cities combined, the community, we can also, as a county, come together and go to a resident and say, help us pay for public safety. This would not only help your fire services, would help your other costs as well. We know there's a issue with law enforcement, sheriff's office and all that. Maybe the Board of Supervisors need to step up like the City Council Livingston is doing. Help us pay for this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Hello again. I just wanted to ask a couple questions. My question first is maybe just to the audience. How many people here feel sufficiently informed
Yeah.
on?
It just addresses too. Yeah.
So if I asked everyone in the audience if they feel sufficiently informed to raise their hands, I wouldn't even have to turn around. It probably wouldn't be that many hands up, right? The theme that I'm hearing here is the public's not sufficiently informed on the decision that is before you on the fire department board agenda item. And so that not being sufficiently informed kind of brings me back to my point I was bringing up earlier today. From the information that I learned at the City of Merced Building and Housing Board of Appeals meeting by the City Attorney Craig Cornwell, it was very informing on the Brown Act. I learned that the Brown Act was established for procedural framework, creating a procedural framework for members of the local government decision-making bodies to openly meet and debate and act, and that the Brown Act provides the means for the public to be informed about the views, discussions, and actions of its locally elected and appointing government representatives. So again, why was the Brown Act? I learned that government officials were elected by the people to represent the people and govern on behalf of the people. I learned that the Brown Act was so the public can fulfill its need to observe, monitor, and evaluate its elected representatives. And I learned the Brown Act was designed to encourage public participation in local government. So again, not feeling fully informed even connects me to this issue, not just with the fire department, but with the sheriff's department. I still stand before you not feeling adequately or sufficiently informed on what we're going to do about the severe staffing shortages in the sheriff's department. That is a crisis that I hear is a serious issue. And I come every board meeting now, and I'll continue to come to ask you, what is the plan? What are we going to do? What are you deliberating about? What are you discussing? What are you deciding? Myself as a public citizen, and I might be able to speak for everybody behind me, would like to be sufficiently and adequately informed on the decision-making agenda items that are before you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, board. I think we hit that mark at this point. Brianne
If you
Vandenberg.
want to pull your mic towards you, please. Thank you. Yeah.
Right here. Brianne Vandenberg, Executive Director of the Merced County Farm Bureau. Thank you to Assistant Chief Pimentel for the presentation. It was very informative, and then I think the comments that came before me expressed the concerns of Merced County Farm Bureau. So please understand that we are here to be a part of the conversation if that fits. We are concerned with what's happening with the Sheriff's Department, the Fire Department, EMS, all those emergency services that impact our membership. So please allow us to be at the table if that opportunity comes, and understand our concerns and frustrations as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Supervisors. Bob Wallace, City of Livingston. My first thing, and sometimes my mouth gets ahead of me, but I think it's stupid to eliminate Livingston. Put that right out there. I bet 80% of the people in Livingston don't even know about this, that they could lose this service within like 60 days. That's crazy. It was a great chart by CAL FIRE. What he didn't tell us, and what I'd like to know, is how many calls are come out of Delhi. They got a population 10,000. We got a population over 15,000 and expect to grow. Why would you close Livingston and move it to Delhi? That makes absolutely no sense. I've used 911 many times because of my wife's health. The fire department is there within a couple of minutes. Sometimes the volunteers beat the fire department. because one of them lives like 10 houses away. But it just doesn't make sense. And I'd like, CAL FIRE didn't also present, how many years has it been, CAL FIRE, that you have not had a contract with Livingston, and yet now you want to close it in 60 some odd days? That does not make sense to me. Thank you.
Thank you.